Now, the Business Trust was created just about 9 years ago in order to help business and government work together in areas of common interest to accelerate the achievement of national objectives. We have, for the last 9 years, been trying to put to the test our ability to work together. We often describe our positioning in society by being in the center of those two circles. So on the one hand you have business, on the other hand you have government. In the center there's an overlap. Not all of what we do overlaps. There are times at which business does things that government doesn't do, and vice versa. And indeed there are times at which business and government are quite properly in conflict. But there is a space in the middle where there are common interests and where we can be working together to accelerate the achievement of national objectives, and that's the role of the Business Trust, is to help that to happen. Think of this as a game. The game plan is building a prosperous nation, attacking poverty and unemployment, expanding markets, and enhancing trust. The team is South Africa's leading corporations and government departments. Most of the major companies in South Africa are committed to the Business Trust. Many of you here represent those companies. Their commitments have been outstanding over the 9 years of the Business Trust. Those companies have now committed well in excess of R1 billion to make this work possible. No company has ever reneged on an undertaking to provide funding to the organisation. The government departments we work with are those departments that have responsibility for programs in the areas in which we operate. The captaincy is made up of a board of cabinet ministers and the heads of South Africa's corporations. The board of the Business Trust, part of the board is nominated by the President of the Republic. There are currently 8 ministers and 8 deputy ministers nominated to the board, and then either the chairman or the chief executive of most major companies. The game plan is this. We try to agree on priorities and assemble the leadership that is needed to pursue those priorities, to mobilize and manage resources as efficiently as we can, to build partnerships to implement programs, produce targeted results. We think it's tremendously important that as we set out, especially to run large-scale social programs, that you're clear about what results you're trying to pursue and that you can measure them. We support dialogue and communicate value and try to build on the lessons. Let me say a bit about this in the context of what we've done over the last year. Business Trust was started in 1999 and it ran through a first 5-year program cycle phase where our work focused on tourism, schooling and crime reduction. At the end of that phase, it was agreed by the business and government leaders that the focus should change to encouraging growth, building capacity and combating poverty. And we have developed a series of partnerships in order to do that. So in the work we're doing on growing enterprises, we focus on tourism and business process outsourcing. The work on building capacity focuses on skills and infrastructure, both vitally important, both to build the foundations on which the economy must grow, but also to change people's lives. It's infrastructure that brings water and sanitation to poor communities without which their lives can't improve. And getting skills, absolutely necessary for the economy, but also one of the surest pathways out of poverty for individuals is to build their skills. Thirdly, to attack poverty directly through support for the Public Works program and a program on community investment, and then the work on dialogue, supporting stakeholder dialogue through the President's Big Business Working Group that was started at the request of the Business Trust, and through an extensive program of communicating effectively among the partners and about the value of partnership. And we then have a set of structured partnerships now with a number of government partners. With the Department of Environmental Affairs and Tourism on the Tourism Enterprise Program, with the DTI on Business Process Outsourcing, BPO, with the Presidency on the Support Program for Accelerated Infrastructure Development, SPAIN, and also with the Presidency on GIPSA. I think many of you know about the Joint Initiative on Priority Skills Acquisition. With the Department of Public Works on the Expanded Public Works Program, with the Department of Provincial and Local Government on the Community Investment Program, CIP, and then with the Presidency on the Big Business Working Group. Let me go on and say something about resources as we report back to you what happened with the funding of the organisation over the last year. Over the last year, when we compare 2007 to 2008, Funds raised increased from 100 million to 136 million, interest earned from 17 million to 21 million. Funds paid out to projects increased from 94 million to 160 million, and cash reserved for projects increased from 231 to 268 million. So there was encouraging growth in all of those indicators. The funds reserved for projects will in fact work its way down to almost zero by June 2011 in the way in which the current program cycle plays out. We also maintain the management cost at less than 5% of the expenditure of the organisation. We have been undertaking to do this at the start of the business trust. Those costs ticked up from 3.9 to 4.1% in the last year, and may tick up again in the next 2 years, but we're confident that we can keep that at under 5% through the program cycle to June 2011. Where did the money come from? Again, we can report this year that there was quite a good balance between funding through our books from business and government, 65 million from business and 71 from government, plus interest and reserves. And then that was played out across that range of programs that I was speaking about a moment ago, with the bulk of the funding going to the Tourism and Enterprise Partnership. And that's actually where the bulk of the government funding is currently going as well. We have now a long-term agreement with the Department of Environmental Affairs and Tourism to develop that program. It forms the foundation of South Africa's tourism enterprise development strategy. If we look at what will happen to that funding over this program cycle, it will increase to just over 900 million. If we took that figure back to when Business Trust started in 1999, that would roughly double. So this has been, in financial terms, a very substantial commitment by both the corporate sector and government, and we think the funds have been efficiently used, and the commitments to the Business Trust have been sustained very substantially over the last year. Let me then go on to say now something. So that's where we stand on resources. Let me now go on to say something about the results that have been achieved. You know, when you set yourself up as a partnership, and it's important that I say this as I show you these results, our aim is to get business and government to work together to accelerate the achievement of national objectives. We're not claiming that we invented these objectives. Neither are we claiming that we did the job. You know, there's no point in entering into a partnership and then trying to prove you're better than your partner. What we're trying to prove is that the partnership is better than going it alone. And so what we show you here is what we've set out to do. So our task, as I was indicating earlier, is to develop sectors in which growth can be accelerated and shared, build capacity to sustain that growth, and reduce poverty. Tourism, BPO are those sectors. The capacity building is skills and infrastructure, and the poverty reduction work is public goods and community investment. Our task is to create the organizational arrangements for cooperative action. That's where we fit into the world. So we fit into the world in between those two sectors where business and government overlap, and then we try to set up the arrangements that can produce practical results by working cooperatively. Many other people play different roles. Some people are involved in developing policies, some people in developing strategies, some people are just in business, some people are just in government. We fall in between